So welcome everyone. This is a special edition of Parish and Community. During the month of November, in recognition of Black Catholic History Month, we will be getting to know some local leaders who serve and contribute to our Catholic family and to the St. Louis community. My name is Lisa Burks. I'm a parishioner here at College Church, and I am so happy to host this conversation with our guest today, Mary Elizabeth Grimes. She has demonstrated her leadership through roles in corporate organizations, in nonprofit institutions, and in planning civic events. Currently, she is the president of Marion Middle School, and it will soon be clear that this is her passion. So welcome, Mary Elizabeth Grimes.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for this opportunity to be with you today.
Absolutely. So if it's okay, I'd like to start by asking you to tell us a little bit about Marion Middle School. What are some of the unique ways that it serves its students?
Well, Marion Middle School is 22 years old, and we were founded by 7 communities of women religious. The idea came as a result of Loyola Academy starting, which was founded by the Jesuits, and it is all boys. And a Loretto nun saw it on television and said, "What about the girls?"
Mm-hmm.
And so this was really an unction that was burning inside of her, which led to an invitation at a regional conference and asking other orders if they had an interest in helping develop this idea. So the whole mission of the school is breaking the cycle of poverty through education. We started very small, 2 grades and 14 students. And now we're in the old Holy Family school, which closed. It was a parish. And our grades go from 5th grade to 8th grade here in the middle school. However, our saying is educating girls for life from 5th grade through career success. So we are not the only school that has what's called a graduate support program, but the depth of our program and the intentionality of the program is what makes it different. Our core values are not only one of quality education and faith, but also very family and student-centric. So we want what is in the best interest of the child, and we have a very holistic approach to engage the students' families in the way that we support them. Because when there's a crisis at the family level, we know that we see it at the student level. So if we are taking an approach of helping the family and the child, we know that it allows the child to thrive. So when I got to Marion almost 8 years ago, I expanded the graduate support program from our mentoring and guidance in high school all the way to college, but also helping our students get their first job. We now have a 10-year impact statement where we want 80% of our students to graduate in post-secondary education over the next 10 years. And we are partnering with local agencies that can expand the breadth and depth of the services that we provide our families so that they can have workforce development, or also helping us meet some of those immediate needs like food insecurity and housing and so forth. So as I said, the things that we do for our students and our families makes us a little different. And I believe that we are creating a community unto ourselves, which is something I grew up having, and I knew how important it was to my development. So we're doing that here at Marion.
I was so it just impacted me so much to hear of some of the ways that family members, the adult family members, had been encouraged to continue their own education by, you know, through their experience with you in serving their daughters, but that also encouraged them to, you know, continue to grow.
Yes, that I appreciate you mentioning that, because our students do impact their families at all ages. Younger siblings, cousins, etc., are looking at our students and seeing their transformation and seeing them as role models and saying, I want to be like her. So
Mhm.
it encourages them to want to strive for a quality education to move forward with their life. The parents often tell us, as they see the transformation of their daughter, I want to be better for her. And so what is it that I need to do so that my life begins to transform as I'm seeing her life transform?
Mhm.
And so they go back to college and get their degrees, and some parents have gone on to get their master's degrees.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So much of your career has involved leadership in corporations and larger institutions. What led you to this educational setting and to Marion specifically?
So I believe that the tie that binds anything and everything that I have done in my career has been spirit-led. I don't think that there's been anything that I've ever had a work experience in doing that wasn't something that prepared me for the next thing that God would have me to do. And so my placement at Marion was certainly uh, saying yes to a mission and ministry that God had prepared me for in various leadership roles, as you mentioned, and also getting my MBA from Washington University. I felt like I could use those resources and tools to be an effective leader here at Marion, and it has served me well. I often have a little side story about how I got to Marion. My mother was an educator and counselor, and she would always pay attention to the student that everyone else had given up on.
Mhm.
And that child would come to our home and would have dinner with us. And then after a long day's work, my mother would then tutor that student. And she is with the Lord at this moment. But when the opportunity came up at Marion, I always said she had a conversation with Jesus and said, well, since I can't be there, why don't you send her?
Agreed. That connection is clear. That connection is clear. In a previous interview, you also noted that you view your role at Marion as a joy, not a job. What brings you joy in your involvement at Marion?
What brings me joy is seeing the transformation of our students. You know, what we're able to pour into them in the time that they are with us, and the difference, the profound difference that it is making in their life. When people visit our school and they encounter Marion girls, they are engaged with a delightful young woman, and they have absolutely no idea about her backstory. And so what brings me joy may have at some point in her time here brought me to tears because of what I know some of our students have experienced, and those experiences are sometimes horrific.
Mhm.
And yet, like a phoenix, they rise from those ashes and they go on with their education. And I've been here long enough that I've seen, you know, students in their professional careers, and there is, it is a delight. It is an absolute delight.
Wonderful. Thank you. You've alluded to this some already, but in what ways does your Catholic faith and identity inform and guide your work?
So, intimacy with the Lord, believe it or not. I believe in prayer. My prayer life is not one where I am always on my knees. My prayer life is a constant conversation with God, asking Him to lead and guide me, knowing that I am His disciple, His ambassador. I often tell our students, as president of Marion Middle School, I'm president 24 hours a day. It's not just when I'm in the building. And I don't ever want it to be a situation where someone questions my actions in contrast to this role. Well, that's the same way I feel about my relationship with the Lord. I am, representing Him in the community and the things that I do and say. And so I want to make sure that when you see me, when you hear me, you're hearing the Spirit of God. You're seeing the Spirit of God. You are touched by the Spirit of God.
Thank you. Thank you.
It says in Him, with Him, through Him. At the time of the Eucharist. And that's a very special time for me. I'm a lector at the cathedral. I've been a lector at other parishes. And I have to explain to people that at the time of the Eucharist, you may see me crying. There's nothing wrong. It is just that I feel transported around the table. And that it is that intimate for me. As a matter of fact, I'm holding back tears right now. But it is that intimate for me to know what that sacrifice has done for me in giving me personal liberty and access to the Father Almighty. So that abundant love is what continues to give me hope when in times when it doesn't appear that there is any.
Well, and your words also make me think of the transformation, within us through the Eucharist, and also the transformation that you help share and support in the young women who you serve. And that
the
is
interesting
lifelong.
thing. Yeah, the interesting thing about Marion is we have Catholic students here. Some students are Christian because they attend a Protestant church, and some children don't have a relationship with the Lord. But it is through the individuals who are in this building, prayerful, faithful individuals who are also part of my joy in being here. But they are pouring into our students. They're part of this transformation process. And it says a lot about who we hire. We speak very frankly about these are our core values. This is what we believe. If this is what you can agree to with us, then come join us. Because for me as leader of the school, when we are not congruent in those ways, then it means that there's an obstruction in our work. And I don't say that in judgment of anyone. I just believe that it is helpful when you are on one accord in a mission that you want to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, and I am struck by the intentionality of truly creating a mutually supportive community among adults and the young women and, with one another.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, having said that, I believe that, again, going back to being an ambassador and disciple, as a result of us bearing witness to the Spirit within us, it does evangelize to our students without it appearing like we're proselytizing.
Right.
And so, again, in that transformation, what I see happening to students who had no spiritual roots from home training will say, well, I want to become Catholic because of their experience here.
Mhm.
Well, that is really rich, is that, they want a relationship with the Lord because of what they have experienced through the people here, not because somebody told them, but
Mhm.
because their hearts and their spirit were set on fire and they said, I want more of this.
Mhm. Wonderful. Amen. So among your many volunteer roles, I noted that you were part of the committee that planned the papal mass when Pope John Paul visited St. Louis in 1999. What can you tell us about that experience?
That could be something that will make me cry. I mean, after that experience, I cried, many times after I shared my experience. Pope Paul is, see, it is really close to my heart because I believe that he was he was filled with God's Spirit. And when he visited, I told Protestant friends of mine, I know you're not Catholic, but I want you to look on television for anything that is televised. And when you see him, look at his eyes and you will see the presence of God. So I did not get much rest during that visit because I was responsible for taking the youth from our parish on Youth Day.
Oh, wonderful.
And so there we were at, was it Chavis Arena at the time? Chavis Arena. And so they put on the big screen him coming to the airplane doorway, and the kids just erupted in the place. And even then I started to cry. So my next responsibility was the pre-mass at the Dome.
Mm-hmm.
So after we got the kids settled and everything, I think I might have had a couple of hours of sleep because that mass started at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And that meant that everybody participating in the mass had to be on the buses, I think something like 4 o'clock in the morning. To transport down to the Dome, get in place, have a dry run of the service before we started at 7:30. And we integrated the shofar horn, ram's horn, and to begin that service. And I remember sitting next to the young man with his mother. He, of course, was Jewish, and he was so moved by the experience of our service and then the papal mass.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was absolutely so filled by the experience and just being in his presence. I never got really close to him, but I think I just would have, the tears would have been falling down my face so profusely that he would say, what's wrong with her? But as you know, it was not long after that he transitioned home to be with the Lord. And he was also ill before he came to St. Louis. And it just seemed to me that I could see God's Spirit just holding him up this whole time, in that travel period that he had taken. He came here from Mexico, if you recall. He was up early in the morning praying at the Blessed Mother's altar after going to bed late at night. You know, and I just, to me, it was every evidence of the Lord being with him. And, you know, and I looked at his funeral mass and, you know, hoped that he would become a saint.
Yeah. Well, and what a beautiful opportunity is the only word that comes to mind. But, you know, for you to bring young people to share that as well. So it was profound for you, and something that also you were able to connect young people to, which I know was one of his particular charisms and passions in his own papal ministry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Glorious. So my last prepared question has to do with who are some of the saints or holy men and women who inspire you?
Well, the one that immediately comes to mind, who has been for many years, is Mother Teresa. And if you recall, her passing was in the shadow of when Princess Diana also passed. But I remember a story about a leper who walked many miles to come to attend her funeral service because of how she touched his life. And, you know, I so admire her seeing the presence of God in all of humanity. You know, I think in one of the adaptations of her life, she was caring for some Muslim children, and all she could see for her, and here she is in the middle of a, you know, warring faction, but for her, it was children, you know, not Christian children, not Muslim children, they were just children, and they needed to have the care and love and encounter with God that she and, you know, those in her order were bringing to them. And I believe that that's what God is requiring of all of us. Certainly, we have different denominations within Christianity, but if we are not, as Paul says, if we're not demonstrating his love, then, you know, things that we do are empty.
Wonderful. Well, it is clear that that same love and spirit is with you and your leadership at Marion Middle School. So,
well, thank you. Thank you
for that work and for sharing a little bit of your story with us today. I wish that we had much more time to hear more, but I know that your days are full. So again, I thank you for being part of this. And
I thank you for the invitation. I'm so honored.
And blessings, continued blessings on your work and your ministry.
Thank you. And same to yours and all in your parish.
Thank you.